Welcome back, fellow travelers. I want to talk to you today about Las Vegas and what the optimal visit time is and the length of time that you should spend in Las Vegas. Now, Vegas is a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and what your reasons are will probably be completely different than the other person's reasons. And it's also dictated, the experience that you're going to have in Vegas will be where you're situated in Vegas. Are you off the strip? Are you on the strip? And if you're on the strip, which one of the hotels are you staying at? It actually makes a big difference because of the way that each hotel treats their guests. Now, for the most part, I have not had a problem with a hotel on the strip. I've been about 7 times to Las Vegas, maybe 8. Honestly, it kind of all mixes in together. And I've found that the most optimal time for me is 3 days. And on the 3rd day, I'm actually leaving midday or late afternoon. And I found that to be great. But obviously, if it's your first time going, there's a lot to see and do. So you can actually stretch that out to 4 or 5 days. I know for somebody that's been a few times, if you're going back and this is going to be your second time, and you think that you're going to have the exact same experience, you're not. You're not, because you know kind of what to expect. That first time you're in Vegas, there's that sense of wonder and awe. You know, you hear all the stories about Las Vegas, whether it's the all night, all you can eat restaurants, amounts of money that you can win. There's just, everybody has an image of what Las Vegas is going to be, and that image will change after your first visit. Not necessarily you're going to be bad or it's going to be great. It's just going to be whatever you make that first trip out of. That's what you're going to think of Vegas anymore. You're not really going to think of Vegas of what movies you've seen or the characters that have populated those movies. It's really going to be about what your experience is. If you had a bad beat and you lost all your money, that's going to be your experience in Vegas. Maybe you're not going to want to go back. If it's been, you got like a winning hand, you had the nuts and playing poker, and like you won a lot of money, you walked off a winner, you're going to think of that. Or maybe it's just the great time you had at a restaurant or at a show. Those are the things that are going to really be memorable. Now, I can't speak to the more extracurricular activities that go on in Vegas because I haven't experienced them. So if that's what you're looking for, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to deliver on that. I stay pretty even keel whenever I travel. I don't mess around with those things, no matter what they are. I'm not judging. I just don't do it for me. But I will say that from my experience and traveling with almost every single time I've gone back with new people who it was their first time in Vegas. And that in itself makes it exciting for me. It recaptures the excitement inside of Las Vegas, whether it's going to the casinos and watching somebody experience Vegas for the first time is exciting in itself. So as I mentioned, 3 days is great. If you're going, it's your first time, 4 or 5 days is fine, but really 3 days I find is the best. Now, obviously, if you're coming from overseas or you're coming from a more than 6-hour flight, it's going to really change how long you want to spend in Vegas. Because if you're going just to Las Vegas and you're coming from overseas, then yeah, I can see why you'd want to spend more time, but consider breaking your trip up into different cities if that's the case. Visit Reno, go to LA, go to San Diego, make your way maybe to Arizona. There's a lot of different things to do in Las Vegas, but once you've been there, and you start experiencing it, it becomes oversaturated. There's so much going on in Vegas, and there's lights everywhere, there's people everywhere. Margaritas are flowing off the streets and into the sewers. It's just, there's a lot going on. It becomes a lot for the senses. After a while, you just need a break. Now, I did mention how your experience might be different from off the strip and on the strip. I would actually suggest not booking a single hotel on the outskirts of the strip. Book directly on the strip. My personal favorite is the MGM Grand. I stayed there several times. I've also stayed at the Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo was great. Those are 2 of the hotels that I would recommend. Off the strip, I stayed there once and it was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Book on the strip. Trust me, you're gonna. And I'm not saying that all the hotels off the strip are bad. The experience that I've had and the experience that other people have had led me to believe it's really a no book zone. No book zone. And I'd also suggest taking some time to see stuff outside, off the strip though. And that's not to say the strip, at night, don't walk off the strip. It's a bit sketchy. Don't walk to the Hilton that's off the strip. I walked there once and almost got stabbed. Long story. It was a guy who was drunk and he ended up pulling a knife. Whatever. Mom, if you're watching this, I never told you. Because I didn't want you to worry about the other times I'd go to Vegas. But yeah, no, it's really, honestly, the strip is so safe. Like I saw one episode of Cops being filmed there. And that was the only police I ever saw. on the strip. Aside from that, I felt completely safe pretty much at all times. Except for one time when I was going north of the strip to the Stratosphere. At one point, I don't know if it's still that way. I haven't been back to Vegas in a few years, and it changes so quick from visit to visit. There was an actual gap from the hotels all the way to the Stratosphere. The Stratosphere is on the northern side of the strip, and because it was like a few barren lots, there was no casinos that were built on there. It really made it so that it was desolate. There's not that many people walking there. It was later at night, and a guy had asked me a bunch of questions, and then he told me he was going to kill me, and whatever. He was kind of drunk, and I think I'm just going to save that for story time another time, because it was kind of stupid on my part the way I engaged him, but whatever. Condense your trips. They're going to be a lot more fun. You're not going to drag on and say, oh, I wish I was back home, or I wish I was somewhere else. Keep it short. If you're coming from far away, consider breaking it up by going to Vegas, go to Reno, go to the other cities I mentioned earlier in the video. It really helps you keep a positive perception of Las Vegas. Las Vegas has changed over the years. It's not the place where everybody goes to and they make a bunch of money. People will lose money. The longer you stay in Vegas, the greater your odds of losing money, unless you're a professional gambler. And even at that, if you are a professional gambler, eventually the house wins. The house eventually wins. So you need to have fun there. Don't go there expecting you're going to have a lot of money by the end of the trip. Expect to lose whatever money that you have invested in the actual gambling activities. I think that's just pretty much a regular tip for gambling in general, no matter where you are in the rest of the world, right? At least that's the way I've always looked at it. I will say that the free cocktails, free drinks are there. That is real. Cheap buffets are a thing of the past. Now I found pretty expensive if you're going to be going in a buffet inside of one of the casinos / hotels, but they are worth it. They make great food. I've always loved it. I highly recommend going to Vegas at least once in your life if you haven't been yet. You don't need to be a gambler. The shows are great. The experience of walking up and down the strip is something that I hold dear to my heart. Just experience it for the first time on so many occasions with so many different people. It's one of the highlights of going to Nevada. I hope that this was of some use to you. If you'd like to check out my other videos, you can do so right over here. And if you'd like to subscribe, which helps the channel out, you can do that right over here. Thank you for making me a part of your day. And until next time, safe travels.